now that we got the worst out of the way, let's talk about some best albums, right? And for me, just letting you all know, I have not listened to let's just say there were a lot of like album releases, like big, publicized releases, but unfortunately I didn't get a chance to listen to them. So let's just, because of life, and I'll get into a bit of detail in terms of what went down in case y'all didn't know in my delivery of this list here, right? And yeah, because of my Fiverr gig and how it relatively has been working out good for the most part. And, because of that, yeah, I'll be doing more of these things going forward, right? That's the best way I could sum it up. Yeah, there's going to be some indie records on this list here, right? So you're not going to... So the entirety of my list is not going to be a bunch of like, big commercial releases, but you're going to see some indie stuff, right? So, right. So before we get to my top 15, well, I know, Ricardo, you do have a 15, but I have a feeling that some of my honorable mentions and a good amount of my best of, picks will be, or probably are on your list anyway, right? But yeah, let me just share my honorable mentions, right? So first off, we have Stephen Gaines with Dark Legacy version 2. He really came through with a very enjoyable instrumental album. I would say he has a bright future as far as EDM and house and ambient music, right? So you should definitely check that out. Raekwon and DJ Kawan, Golden Age, and the Book of Ranu. Really enjoyed those records. I know that I'm in the minority with this one, but I really thought that she came through with a really solid and very entertaining sophomore album. Cardi B, Am I the Drama, right? And yes, I know it's one of those albums that a lot of male, critics will be like, I don't get the appeal. This is not for me. This is bloated. It's trash. Well, no, bros. It's not for you. It's for her audience, right? It's for women. That's what it is. But I was just entertained by it, and I think it's just for me because I wasn't sold on, her first album, Invasion of Privacy, being this classic. I felt like, yes, we all waited long for the follow up, right? And I can understand some people being disappointed. Like, I really waited this long for this. This is what I got. But like, that's what it is. This Cardi B just doing what she does, but just edgier and darker than before, right? And there's some flops here or there, right? But I thought that there were more bops than flops on this album, to be honest, right? I really think she came through with a solid sophomore feature, right? Love it or hate it, right? So that's why it's in my honorable mention list, right? From me boy, Lupe Fiasco, Samurai DX. Right. This was a EP, well, pretty much extension of his Samurai album from last year. You got a few remixes actually of some tracks from it as well. SOS is one of the new songs he dropped. Love that song. The video fit is dope as hell, and just that vibe, dude. I just love that vibe on this, right? JPEGMafia and Danny Brown, Scare in the Hose, director's cut. This is just basically, as it says, a director's cut. So this is technically the deluxe edition of, his Scare in the Hose album, which was my second favorite album of 2023. But yeah, it's out now in full form and yeah, entertaining as hell, right? Absolutely love that, right? Mac Miller, Balloonerism, right? Great, almost say sophomore, great posthumous record from the late great Mac Miller, right? I covered that early in the year, thoroughly enjoyed that, right? Just a few more to go. Earl Sweatshirt, Live, Laugh, Love. Yeah, boy, Earl really grew up here, boy. The man really show maturity here. Still on that experimental hip hop vibe with his flows and the production and his production choice and all that kind of stuff. But it's just the maturity that he showed there, right? Because yeah, the man is a father now. He have a new girlfriend now. The man living life, right? He's not about that edgelordy vibe that he was when he was with Odd Future and whatnot. He's not about that anymore. He's really embracing life for its ups and downs and just appreciative for what it is, man. I can't be mad at that, right? I had a shout out my boy D1, Hypocritical Hop. Yeah, this man was making a lot of big moves as far as just calling out, gangster rap and all that, and hardcore hip hop as well. But more gangster rap, really, right? And I felt like this album that he put out here, Hypocritical Hop, really summed up his mission statement for 2025. And I can't be mad at that, right? West Side Gun, Heels Have Eyes 2. Really enjoyed this record from him. Yes, this was one of the few records that he got in hot water with WWE for because of the album cover. But I thought that, just excluding that whole WWE nonsense that he was involved in, yeah, the man just came through with just a thoroughly entertaining project. It's just still that grimy shit that you expect from him, but just the production was on point, lyrics was on point, guest features were on point as well, right? Poor Chapless came through with a great instrumental album with Sugar Before Death. I did a written and video version of my review of that. You can check that out in the description here. DJ Premier and Rock Marciano, The Coldest Profession. This was one of two releases that DJ Premier put up on his own. We'll get to Mass Appeal in a minute, right? But this is what he put out on his own, right? So yeah, he hooked up with New York's finest, Rock Marciano. And yeah, Rock have, his style is a quiet taste, right? That very smooth but very lackadaisical, very, I think lackadaisical is the best way I could sum it up, right? He just raps in such a casual way. It's almost like breathing for him, right? And I know that's not, for everyone. Some people might find his flow to be a little too stiff or a little too lazy, but no, that's the vibe. That's what he goes for, right? And it's just cold-blooded shit that he's on, but it's just how Primo complements his style, right? Totally worked for me, right? And last but not least, I had a shout out Mass Appeal Records for this one, but yeah, the Legend Has It series, man, right? There are a few that made it to my best stuff. I'll get to those in a bit, right? And this is not so much a disappointment for me, but this was one that I felt could have been better, but I'll still add it to the list nonetheless, because it's from our OG nonetheless. The Big L record, right? I thought, like, honestly, that is the weakest of the releases that we got from Mass Appeal Records this year, though.
I agree, and I still like it.
Yeah, but I still like it, though, because Big L is Big L, right? He's what makes the record work, right? It's just I felt the production, though, could have been much better, could have been more memorable in my opinion, right? But yeah, as far as the honorable mentions from that lineup, though, Slick Rick, Victory, Raekwon, The Emperor's New Clothes, Ghostface, Killah, Supreme Clientele 2, and Mobb Deep, Infinity. I wouldn't say too long on the 15 to 6, right? So moving quickly, right? So starting with number 15 for me, The Weeknd, Hurry Up Tomorrow. I did a review of that on the weekend, that it dropped, right? You'll find that in the description here, right? Number 14, we have the sophomore record from Irish folk singer Owen Shannon, entitled Highs and Lows. I did a written and video review of it a few months ago. The songwriting is great. The incorporation of blues, jazz, and rock in the production, and just the thematic look at the light and dark sides of love and relationships really worked for me. I thought that it was a thoroughly impressive follow-up to his debut album, Hello Forever, which he dropped earlier this year, and I also covered in text form, right? Number 13 was an album that we talked about in the middle of this year. That will be Tyler, the Creator's Don't Tap the Glass. Short, simple, designed to get your body moving. That's the mission of the album, and yeah, mission accomplished. That's really the gist of the album. It is what it is, right? But I really enjoy this one, right? Number 12, I'd explain this one, right? I'd go into detail here, right? So at number 12, we have the Trey Dot and DJ Kawan EP, Vinyl Tears, right? So already mentioned Kawan with his work on the Golden Age and the Book of Ranu, right? But this was a project that I was put on to a month or so ago by Kawan himself, right? And this was my official introduction to Trey Dot, right? Who is this Queens-born, North Carolina residing adult contemporary hip-hop artist, as he identifies himself as, right? One of the reasons why I found myself enjoying this EP way more than I expected is the inclusion of the instrumental versions of its 5 tracks, right? And this is one of those rare instances where both the production and the lyrics work in harmony, right? They're both in sync, right? Thematically, right? But for me, I didn't expect to connect with it the way it did, because thematically it is centered on something that I had to deal with in the first half of this year. Yeah, seeing your father in the last days of his life, right? The fear you feel, the resilience you have to adopt, the hope you have to try to hold on to, and of course the acceptance of your own mortality, right? But for me, it's how Trey Dot and Kawan articulate those themes through the way music connects with us, right? So it's emotion we feel when we put on a vinyl record or a cassette, right? When you hear that hiss, when you hear that crackle, right? The memories that it conjures up, right? The emotions that are being crystallized in a song or a beat, right? So it's a short record, right? But there's so much depth to it and so much to pull from and latch onto with every listen that you give it, right? And yeah, someone who lived through that whole moment, that pivotal moment, I would say, where you see your father, on his last leg of life, right? Yeah, this one really, really, really got to me, right? But yeah, Vinyl Tears is a fantastic record. It's definitely worth the listen. You can check it out on madgood.com. That's where, you could get cassettes and vinyls to that album, right? So number 11 is an album that I did a review for, and yes, it impacted me to the point of shedding actual tears, right? Not vinyl tears, right? And it's one that I think I recommended to you a while back, but I guess if you forgot, I'll just tell it to you here right now, right? So this is an album called Don't Be a Hero, right? This is from Dante Purtle, right? This is the longest album I've reviewed this year, with Hurry Up Tomorrow being a close second, right? And in a nutshell, Dante delivers this Superman-inspired character portrait of a man who is doing some self-examination, right? So it's through, his dual identities as both an African-American, human and an alien superhero, right? But it's all framed within this current socio-political landscape of America, right? It's superbly written from both a narrative and lyrical standpoint. Guest features are great. MVP award, as I said in my review, goes to Eternia, who was recently shouted out on the album that we will talk about later on. The production is diverse and is vibrant, and the final third hits so hard to the point that it'll be impossible for you to fight the tears once the main conceit comes to light, right? But yeah, it's a fantastic album. Please listen to it. Don't be intimidated by the length. It's absolutely worth your time, right? So now we're in the number 10 spot, right? So we have the unapologetically hard-hitting hardcore hip-hop songs of Al Sharp's final album, and I put final album in quotes because I still think that he has more fire to deliver to us mere mortal hip-hop heads, right? The voice of the unheard tree, the final chapter. I did a written and video review of that as well, so if you want to find out more detail about the album, you can check those out, right? At number 9, we have an album that I reviewed earlier this year by the name of Chicago Kinfolk, Juke Joint Blues. And on this album, singer-songwriter Terry Blade leans entirely into blues music. He gives us a tribute to the Chicago pioneers of that genre and a mix of covers and original songs that adhere to his adoration of African-American music and his use of its subgenres to examine his own identity as a queer African-American and the society he lives in. At number 8, Bay Area producer / DJ Brycon treats us his newest beat tape, which is 7 years in the making, entitled Totally Unnecessary White Guy Dub. So I'll admit that this was in my video review to-do list since it dropped back in July, but life just got in the way and priorities and all that stuff, right? So I guess you could call this quick review, unbelievably late review of the best instrumental album I've heard this year. So yeah, even though this was on my to-do list, I just found myself reflecting a lot on the beats that Brycon brought to the table, right? So he teamed up with fellow Cali producer Maitre and former Black Uhuru vocalist Mykal Rose, right? The latter of who comes through with a truly great performance on the track piece, right? So yeah, Brycon delivers this moody, psychedelic, heartfelt tribute to Jamaican reggae and dub music, right? So essentially, it's just the instrumentals that you hear in 70s and 80s reggae, right? But he does his own take on it, right? The title itself kind of pokes fun at the fact that it's a white hip-hop producer, knowing a thing or two about reggae and dub. And I'll tell you, he knows a lot, boy. He knows way more about, reggae and dub music, right? And yeah, he just comes through with a very, very entertaining beat tape with, just these nostalgia-evoking, reggae beats and all that kind of stuff, right? This record feels like a labor of love. Again, I said, it took him 7 years to really put this together. But yeah, you could tell everybody really put their heart into this, right? And if you're a fan of 60s and 70s reggae, yeah, you'll definitely feel the love and the high of this record, right? So number 7, we have an album that I reviewed alongside Don't Tap the Glass with you, right? And that will be Freddie Gibbs and the Alchemist Alfredo 2, right? This, of course, is the official sequel to their record from 2020, Alfredo. And on this one, Alchemist comes through with some of the moodiest beats I've ever heard from him. And Freddie, who is really channeling some Yakuza energy, yeah boy, he sounds vicious on this. He comes through with some of the most aggressive bars I've heard from him. And it's how he presents himself on the record that really stood out to me, right? So he presents himself as someone who's willing to do lyrical damage to a former friend or a current foe, like Currency and Benny the Butcher, for example. And
that academics, this is cracked me up, boy.
Oh boy, yes, boy, yes, I forgot about that, right? Yeah, that academics shout out, if you will. was funny, right? And yeah, and also he is willing to accept the consequences of living a very, very lonely life though as a result of that, right? But yeah, this was a moody record though. And it was one that it took a while for me to really click to, but like I said in my review, it's once I saw that short film that they put out a while back, right? Well, I think leading up to the album's release, that one I was like, oh, that's what they're going for. Yep, I fucks with this. This was great, right? So number 6, right, is the first of 2 ties on my list, right? Sorry to say, but even though I didn't hear all the great albums that came out this year, I heard a lot of great albums in this year. So hence the reason why there are 2 ties on this list of mine, right? So yeah, shout out to Latta P and York. Because yeah, my number 6 is The Face, Crapo, Smoke the Pipe, and Mike Wise's Persona Non Grata. I know I'm not going to say who's Latta P and who's York. Just listen to the track Latta P X York off Crapo Smoke the Pipe and you decide who's who, right? But yeah, The Face came through with a double album, Fire and Smoke as they call, of superbly produced beats, sharp witty bars, and excellent guest features, right? One of which, of course, is Mike Wise, right? On the flip side, Mike Wise delivers a concise, dark, and grimy reminder to his fans and his foes alike that he is the real deal, right? And he will continue to be that despite the socio-political pressures that affects him on a regular basis and continues to inspire his creative output. So before we get to the top 5 now, yeah, Ricardo, your turn to 6.
Right, so my list is pretty standard. Again, most of this is the Legends Archer series. So number 10, Big L. Yeah, I really like this a lot. But it's stuff, if you're not familiar with Big L, you might like this a lot. But if you're familiar with Big L, they didn't really have anything brand new. And you could tell that the budget was just kind of like lagging here, and they just kind of put it out still. But it's still worth your time and I'll listen to it again. Shout out to Ahmad, who did a great rundown of this. But it's like, yeah, cool. This is almost all of it you heard before. They didn't really add anything brand new. It's like, oh yeah, right, I remember this was a Big L song, and that was a Big L song. But nothing brand new, but still a good outing nonetheless. Number 9, Supreme Clientele 2. Pretty good. A great send up, and it's like, yeah, it's just Ghostface on the bag, and they're making it good. Number 8, Raekwon, Emperor's New Clothes.
Right.
Solid outing, really enjoyed it. Dig it for what it is. Again, just enjoying old hip hop, but I wasn't like super fans of these people. It's just, yeah, I acknowledge Raekwon for what it is.
Alright, on the subject of Emperor's New Clothes, right? I know they were Master P Records were catching a little flack over their AI videos, right? But I felt like the one that they did for Raekwon's album was like, oof. It's the one where you see him and Ghostface and Method Man, and they pull off this heist thing, like
but my take is that already this thing, like when hip hop people do hip hop stuff and they do this kind of stuff, it really bother me, because like wherever the money is fine. Like remember Eminem did some monkey bullshit a few years back, and like, yeah, everybody just move on from it, it's fine. Well, right, number 7, Cabin in the Sky, De La Soul.
Okay, alright. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really dug this. Again, like, here's the only problem. The reason why this is low is because, yeah, I'm not De La Soul fan. That's the only reason. Like, if I was
okay. I saw like you were, or at least you appreciate it back.
Not really. I mean, it's more like, yeah, I just familiar enough with them, but I know big, like, De La Soul thing to tell me thing. But, like, True Boys passing, they make a whole thing about it. And, yeah, this really felt like a good follow-up to a thing. But it's not like I'm a big super fan or anything like that. And it just would mention it. But would mention is a really good outing. It up there with the whole albums. But again, if I was a bigger De La Soul fan, this would have probably been higher, because this is really, really excellent overall. Number 6, Victory, Slicker.
Nice. Yeah, short, really very sweet, very quirky, and very, I would say, really quirky by Slick Rick standards. But it works. It absolutely works, sir.
Yeah. They make it work, and mostly because of the extraneous material in and around it. They have a lot of really cool music videos. And this fellow was in it a lot. What do you call it?
Idris Elba. The funny thing is, there was a video that they put out after the album's release. But I just did like, why wasn't that song on the album though? That's the one where Idris rapped. I was like, why wasn't that there? Like, that could have been a great cut though. They just take it out. I don't understand. That was weird.
It dovetails. I think a big factor that like it dovetails with the extraneous material, and it's really well produced music videos and all of that. Just adding to it with the push and the timing of the album. And I just think, like, Slick Rick's still on his back. He making it work, and I can't be mad at any of it. Like, I'm enjoying all of that.
Right, now number 5 and 4 are albums that I had the absolute privilege of doing album breakdowns of, right? At number 5, we have the Pro Logic and Lendo album, I Need My Flowers. I spoke to Lendo, and he broke down, just how, just what inspired every song that was on that album, right? Lendo has been on a roll this year, so he had this album, he had this EP, Abstractions with Silence, shout out to Silence, and that also should be on my honorable mention, right? I forgot that. Apologies. He put out some of his verses as randoms, just these quick videos that he put out on social media, and he has an upcoming compilation album by the name of Soul Boom Bap Volume 1, right? Which I was put on to exclusively, and I'll tell you, yes, in terms of getting into his music, it's a solid entry point, right? I also make the argument that I Need My Flowers is also a solid entry point, even though 4 of its songs make it to that compilation, right? But yeah, Lendo and Pro Logic have great chemistry together. I mean, they showed that with their first EP, that will be A Beacon in the Dark. And here, Lendo managed to come through with some of the best songs I've heard from him, period. Whether it's Respect 101 or Soup, both of which are a couple of the best songs I've heard all year, right? But yeah, as a whole, you really get a sense of Lendo's diversity in terms of lyricism, in terms of beat choices, in terms of subject matter, right? And emotional potency, right? And I will tell you, just to wrap this part here, the album truly lives up to its title, right? This man is well deserving of its flowers, though, and yeah, he's definitely worth checking out, right? And one track that pops up on Soul Boom Bap Volume 1 is the track Speak It, right? Which is from Lendo's album A Few Pages from the Dark Ages, which is produced entirely by Rook Beats, right? Shout out to Rook, right? That track features the artist whose album has made it to my number 4 slot, E. Smithy. So yes, folks, E. Smithy's House Lights is my number 4 pick, right? And wow, what an album this was, right? This is a R&B / soul album, right? So he does little rapping on it, right? I would just say one particular track he actually does rapping on, right? So yeah, he made this through emotionally distressing moment in his life, and I'm not gonna get into too much details into it, but yeah, it involves a recent breakup, right? I listened to this during an emotionally distressing moment in my life, right? That'll be the last few months of my dad's life, right? And yet somehow this album just really clicked with me, just in terms of its themes and its messages about just being able to move forward, right, in life, right, despite the downs that life hits you with, right? Being sympathetic, right, being hopeful, holding on to love and all that kind of stuff. It really worked for me, right? And just being able to chop it up with E and how he was able to explain the process behind making this record, yeah, was one of the big highlights for me as far as this year goes, right? But yeah, this is the best R&B / soul album I've heard all year. Please make the time for it. It's absolutely worth checking out, right? So yeah, before we get to the top 3 now, Ricardo, your 5 and 4.
Right, so 5 and 4. Number 5, likewise, Persona non grata.
Nice.
Which is solid outing from him. Again, driving lyrics. Thematically, politically, socio-politically, thematic relevance. Keep bringing it, and this is a great listen. I got the time to just walk around with it and yeah. This man's still on that timing. So yeah, I enjoy a lot of this. And again, another on a professional level, he very how should I put this? Very humble, but also rebellious in all the right ways, right? That's also like to take him and take his music, and yeah, they make it work. And hey, this was excellent outing. Number 4, Infinite Mobb. Yeah.
Nice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Infinite Mobb. Yeah, this is an example of just me being. Well, I am a fan, so that's why I enjoyed this a lot more than that I enjoyed this a lot more than CD De La Soul album. That's about it.
And I think if I'm not mistaken, Alchemist, I don't know if he did all the beats but I think he did a majority of them though. But yeah, Alchemist and Havoc, sorry. Yeah, they worked with it. And I thought the beats really complement their style.
Right. So that's that. They come together, they make it work, and again, the big thing of the whole mass appeal pull out of this is that you could tell the money not there. Sorry to say it, they feel like they cut corners. I think, and not with this album, but all of them in particular. With respect to that, we'll get into that with another album. But yeah, sorry to say it, but this is the fallout of the kind of somewhat I'll call it the soft implosion of hip hop in the mainstream, which is, I would argue, a good thing, and that's another discussion for another time. But yeah, I kind of slightly happy that the fallout of Kendrick and Drake is probably because of this. Probably, I'm not sure. The fall of Puffy, probably part of that. We will talk about that. But yeah, I just thought, you could just see the money not right there. So that's the only thing that kind of holding this back from being greater. But in terms of like how much production, how much time you could put into it, they could have just run through a little pipe and a little one more for it. But with another track, with another album, we will get into that. So that is about it. So that is my 5 and 4.
Alright, so that other album, right? So if you don't mind, I will just share my number 3 and 2 because they sort of feed off each other as well, right? But let me start off with 3, right? So 3 is my second and final tie, right? So yeah, let me talk about the elephant in the room one time. Nas and DJ Premier, Light Years, right? So I'd explain myself with this one, right? I wouldn't say too long, right? But I'd explain this one carefully, right? This probably is like the most highly anticipated album of this year, right? That and another one which I'll get into in a bit, right? And yeah, I was one of many who sat down and listened to it, and for me, right, from first listen, I got the gist, I got the vibe of where both Nas and DJ Premier were going with, right? And I'm saying this too because with Nas, especially with his output since like from 2020, right? It's been this very nostalgic, very sentimental vibe that he's on, right? With Magic, with King's Disease, right? With those two trilogies, right? It's Nas being older and kind of looking back like, yeah, this is where I'm at right now. Doing other ventures, right? I'm in my early 50s now. I'm a better man. I'm doing things in my life, right? I ain't in them streets no more, so I can't be talking street shit. That's what it is, right? I know that's like hit or miss when it comes to like Nas stands, right? But I admire that, dude. I always find myself inspired by that. Like, yeah, like I want to be in that level,
I'll say he was like that since Life is Good.
Agreed. Yes. Yeah, Life is Good was the key moment, right? When Killah left him, right? Yeah. But yeah, but I did not expect the blowback that Primo got to. Because people talk about, the beats like so soft and like, this is not the hard-hitted boom bap trunk rattling shit that we know of, blah blah. So as a Primo stan, right? Because yeah, I think hands down he is the best hip hop producer ever, in my opinion, right? Shout out to this man, right? I thought, for me, this is how I see Light Years, right? I see Primo like this is like, I feel like Primo really tapped into Nas's vibe. Like, oh, this is the vibe you're going for. All right, I gotta make beats that fit that, right? So when it comes to like to Childhood or New York State of Mind 3, right? You're expecting these songs to be like fireworks explosions, but like no, they're more sentimental, they're more smoother, but they still have that edginess that we love, that boom bap edginess that we love from him, right? And that's what you get here, right? So it's a mixture of the stuff that Primo is known for, but it just reflects Nas and what he's rapping about, right? So yes, the beats and the rhymes just work in tandem, right? But I understand people will say, oh, but the beats don't hit as hard as they do, blah, 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 right? It's like, no, it's not supposed to, but I can understand why you would think so, because it's easy for us to think about, oh, but look at what we got with Nas and Primo off of Illmatic with Represent and New York City Mind. It's like, that's not what they're going for. That's all I say.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people just accustomed to Hit Boy. And Hit Boy with Nas, like I just feel, because I know this is a bunch of youngins saying this, like I hate to get into
good point. Mm-hmm.
I think a lot, but it really feels like a bunch of youngins complaining and not really the old heads, right? I can hear no old head complaining, right? This feel like a classic kind of thing, but I'll get into like my review because that album coming up soon. So
so listen, all right. So as before I get into my second part of my part 3, right? Sorry, of my number 3, right? Because I said it's a tie, right? So yes, I could understand some Primo stands not really feeling the production, right? Like from what I've seen online, like people praising Nas's lyrics, right? He could do no wrong, right? Even that whole cryptocurrency Scarface line, I fucks with I fucks with that. I fucks with that, right? But some people like, but the beats though, but like no, that's what he going for. And I think that the beats work. They work. They're not the 90s Primo. They're not the 2000s Primo. They are both grown. Like Primo's older than Nas by a few years, right? So like, listen, they are two, veterans, doing what they do best, celebrating their life and the fruits of their labor. That's what Light Years is about. That's why I'm a number 3.
What? Right. So okay. So yeah. Well, you okay. You go ahead. But get to your number 2. Go on.
All right.
You want me to your number 2 as well?
Right. So before I get to my number 2, right? Again, I say this is that tie, right? So for those who wanted a little bit more edge with Primo's production, I will recommend. And again, this is my tie, right? So in addition to Light Years, I also have the second of DJ Premier's, output, right? DJ Premier and Ransom, the Reinvention. Right. Ransom is one of the most underrated MCs in the game right now. Shout out to Easy Hines, but he's a guy who just grows with every single album. His lyrics hit harder with every project he puts out. He just gets better and better and better, right? I know it's really easy who put me on to him, right? But for me, and this man put out a lot of records, right? And he'll usually hook up with a producer, right? But I never thought a guy like him would hook up with DJ Premier, right? And yeah, just given their mindset, that homegrown East Coast mindset, right? Yeah, it fits perfectly, dude. And though it's a short EP, Primo came through with some of the best beats for Ransom to rap over, right? And I would say, if you've never listened to a Ransom album before, and that's okay, because I was in that boat too. There was a point in time where I didn't even know who Ransom was, like about a few years ago, right? When I was put onto him by Heezy and some other people, right? But yeah, this is a great entry point into this man's music, right? But yeah, if you want that 90s edge that you felt was missing out of Light Years, definitely check out the Reinvention, right? And Ransom, just came through with some of the best bars, best hooks, best verses I've heard from him. He's just a wordsmith in every sense of the term, though. And I would say this album here, the Reinvention, is probably my top favorite album I've heard from Ransom thus far, man. Like, I absolutely love this, right? So yeah, that's why I have Light Years and the Reinvention as my number 3, right? Number 2 is an album that you brought up before, right? And for me, I think that this is the best album that we've gotten from Master B Records, De La Soul, Cabin in the Sky. This is the last album that I actually listened to in preparation for this list here. Yeah, I was far behind, and I was hearing nothing but great things about it. And I was like, listen, if there's one album that I have to listen to before I even do this list here, it's that, right? And I'm so glad that I devoted my time to listening to this 70-minute album, right? 4 times I listened to this thing, and I loved it, right? But yes, you're right. The heart of it all is the unfortunate passing of True Goy the Dove, right? And it's just how it resonates throughout this record, right? But it's also a celebration of the sound and the style of De La Soul, just how they stay true to who they are, not compromising and, being negative and, it has to be about hardcore stuff. Like, no, it's about growing up and being intelligent and black excellence and stuff like that, right? It's still the quirky, stuff that you would expect from them, from the production choices, the samples, all that kind of stuff, though. But yeah, it's just so heartfelt and mature. Plus the news sounds so mature, but he sounds so grown up here, right? Even Maceo, right? Even though he's technically the hype man, the group / DJ, but yeah, even he sounds mature on this, right? And you actually hear some rhymes and beats actually from True Goy as well, right? And they work, right? But it's just bringing in the people who worked with them for years, whether it's DJ Premier or Common or Bilal or Pete Rock or Yummy Bingham, right? It's just people that you know from the hits that you know from De La Soul just come together in this grand album, right? Boy, they even bring our boy Giancarlo Esposito, to do some skits. Right. Yeah, works, right? Right. Yeah. And just the theme of it all, right? This, yes, it draws from the Bible, I know, right? This idea of this home in the sky that belongs to you, right? And then when you die, when you leave this earth, you go there, right? Yeah, and that's how it's reflected in terms of, sun and rain and summer and winter and, just things like that, like the ups and downs of life, right? Absolutely work, right? Closest, right? That final track, for me, hits so hard, right? Because at first, when I listened to it, right, this is like the soul True Goy track, right? He produced it and he does the lyrics, right? How it's framed, right? Especially in the end when you hear the organs, right? Sorry, when you hear the strings, right? When you hear the harp, sorry. It sounds almost like if he is leaving it and going to his cabin in the sky, right? I love the fact that the track before that is the title track, right? Which is performed beautifully by Posthumous, right? But yeah, that final track, dude, Don't Push Me. It sounds both like, True Boy is leaving this earth, but at the same time, it sounds, because Giancarlo says, meanwhile, at a cabin in the sky, blah, 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 right? It sounds, so that's wrap things up, right? So it sounds like him leaving this earth and him in this cabin in the sky just projecting this message, projecting this song onto us, right? So it works both ways too. And just the way how the harp sound in the end and the vocals, boy, is beautiful. It's just straight up beautiful. Like I feel that man tear come ever so often when I hear that final track too, but it's just so hardcore, right? I would say out of the Mass Appeal releases that we got this year, this is the best. This is going to be the most critically acclaimed of these releases, boy. And I'm just so glad that we have this, right? And last thing, I do hope that we get more De La Soul projects in the future, because the last one we got was way back in 2016. And I thought that was going to be the end, but this one could very well be the end, though. And if it is, though, well, I will say that this group went out on a high note, though. So yeah, R.I.P. to True Boy, and much salute to De La Soul, though. Your music will live on forever, right? But yeah, number 3 and number 2.
Right. So yeah, my number 3. Like yes, Nas and Primo.
Nice.
Love this album. I thought it was great. Alright, so it is the closest thing I'll give to sympathetic against the whole Primo falling off thing. I don't think so at all, but here's the argument I could understand. I could think. So when I hear people complaining about Primo production, I think, right, what I try to say here. So I break out the good headphones just to hear everything and see what it is missing. And I kinda sympathetic towards the argument in the sense that these tracks, I don't think I'll listen to any of them on their own. Like, would I listen to these tracks as productions on their own, like just instrumentals by themselves? The answer is no. Because
I agree. Same here.
As you say, the way how they're designed, they're so well dovetailed with Nas's style. That's the thing. So to me, that's my intention. That's how I kind of read these now. It's for lack of a better term, it's the Persian floor now. It's an intentional thing to cater to the holism of the album. That's how I kind of see it. There's a holism, right? And I think the first half of the album has a couple of tracks like, alright, I can understand where people's coming from. But by the time you get to with his writers, they're like, nah, well, wrap it up. All of them good. All of them real hard.
I love writers, but love writers.
Hard. Yeah, writers real hard and things. But like, my personal favorite track is the track with Easy, My Story, Your Story.
Oh yeah. Oh, and I forgot to mention too, as you mentioned, My Story, Your Story, right? So the track that comes after that, right? Bouquet. This is the tribute album to the female MCs. That's where I heard Eternia's name on it. I was like, yeah, she deserves that. And I actually read up on X. She heard that and she bawled. She was in tears. Like, oh my God, Nas shouted me out though. It's just all the greats though. Even Cardi got shouted out too. I was like, what? Like,
you mentioned Ike Spice. I had me cracking up it. Like,
but I mean, New York, right? It's New York. He reps New York, right? And this song, right? Sorry to interrupt, right? But that one song, I can imagine some people like, but boy, why does song sound like this? But it's so like I love how nostalgic it sounds. Like it sounds like Christmas music in my opinion. But I love that it's so warm and sweet though. But it's like, we don't want that from Primo. But it's like, no, it's a tribute to female MCs. Like, come on, man.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
Have a heart though,
Yeah. No, I just dug this album for what it was. One of the big things about this album is that it's all the great callback tracks, right? That's why it works. So it's all these great callback tracks to old ones. So like, Third Childhood is kind of brilliant.
I love that as an album close. I love that.
Yeah. Because it's like, alright, so the original Second Childhood is like this pathological track about like being, you're too big for that kind of behavior amongst a lot of black people. And then he comes back full circle with Third Childhood saying, well, once you get your shit together and things, then you could like, live, have the inner child in you and make it work. And I thought that was like really clever and really well done. Sons, which is like a callback to Daughters.
To Daughters, like, yes, love that. I love the beat for that too. So smooth and laid back though,
yeah. What's the other callback track that he did? This one.
New York State of Mind 3. He did
right. New York State of Mind, right, part 3. Right. Yeah, it's stuff like that. It's like they make it work. But yeah, just overall, just really, really solid outing for me. Just great tracks. I love it. The two tracks that stick out for me. one was really clever was right. Writer's great. The one with he have one that just referencing they call it spray painting. That's writers. That's great spray painting. New York. It is graffiti.
Yeah, and you could see the talking about callbacks, right? You could see the wild style tribute to this, right? Because the beginning of Illmatic, that intro has the music, the team music from Wild Style. That's what it is. It's callbacks, though.
Yeah, there's a bunch of great callbacks, and this feel like something that could have been like a final album for Nas as well. Like they just make it work for what it is. He just make a lot of great tracks and have it work. And yeah, so my two favorite, Nasty Esco Nasir, really clever track. Like
yes.
different personalities bounced off each other, and they, the three, Nasty Esco and Nasir is like Eminem and Slim Shady.
And Slim Shady, yeah. And mad points for the slight vocal inflection. Okay, he sounds younger as the Nasty Nas and the Escobar. Like what?
Yeah, that was so clever though. Like they make it work out. It's like, oh yeah, they sung like different people at different times and things. Yeah. So that was clever.
And how it ends to a love where it's like, this is me now. This is what I doing now, right? So I love that. Just like, yeah, I'm a businessman. Like I doing shit now. Like I not about that crystal life no more. You know what I mean? I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, they make it work for what it is and what we're trying to do. My two favorite, as I say, is My Story, Your Story. It's easy. I mean, you can't go wrong with the back and forth. Them back and forths clean as hell, and then the actual track itself is just great, like just mafia music, real hard stuff.
And if I could add to that, right? I love the outro where they clearly hire a drug. Okay, you could hear it, but it just sounds like boys, two friends that we just see in a long while and we just chopping it up. Exactly. Boy, like you feel that. Yeah.
And then Shine Together real hard. Like
yes.
Just banger, great again. I like in the first half of the album, if you judge it entirely from the first half, it's like, I can kind of understand where you're coming from, but I mean, come on, this is like really solid stuff, as you say. Overall, I think this is a great album. Like I understand where I kind of slightly sympathize to the argument against Primo, but yeah, sorry, like no, you really come through here, and by intention, it's the complement and dovetail with Nas's flow and style really, really well. Everybody's saying it's more like, well, it's kind of like how Hip Hop Is Dead is. Like they play with that and Nas picking up a set of bad beats and take a rap over.
I am one of the few who loves Hip Hop Is Dead. Yes, it's fillery, but I love the record. Right. I always loved it.
So my one thing I hate is this narrative that no, Nas is pick bad beats. I'm like, no, he picks beats to complement him. You see the problem that you so accustomed to beats. And the other thing is like food. People think that how to put salt on everything in food. There's that kind of thinking. That's how it feel like here. Like, well, a beat had to be hard on its own and it without the rapper. And it's like, well, yeah, most of that is true. I agree. But like in this case, no, you have to complement the song, and the voice and the song have to be in one. That's how it should. Like that's to me like what ideal hip hop in some ways have to be, and that's what we got with this album. Like so, that's how I feel about it. Anyway, number 2 is Alchemist, Freddie Gibbs, Alfredo 2.
Nice.
Absolutely love this album. This gets.
Well, I can't believe you put that as your number 2, but I know you were like, I loved it. Like I was singing its praises when we reviewed it, but I didn't know that you'd have put that as your number 2 though. Okay.
No, I didn't think it would have been my number 2 as well. I really thought. Well, to be fair, I thought the Nas and thing would have beat it out. To be honest, but this just stick with me for the year. It gets so much replay. Just that Anderson Paak feature. There's so much good shit overall. With his Lemon Pepper Steppers. Look, Alchemist came true for this year. This was like amazing production on his part. Just overall, just a vibe. Just had you in a bag, and it just come out at the right time. I forget when it came. It came out with some. It came up with some TV show, I think, at the same time, or something that came out at the exact same time. So I was just vibing the whole week. I think it's this and some video game came out. So it was just a movie. I think it's Fantastic Four, I think, came out at the same time or something like that. So I was just like in my bag of just enjoying my life for this around period. So like I enjoyed it so much more. So it complement that whole vibe, and I was just Lemon Pepper Stepper Enchilada. With his feeling, Shangri-La, like just gas station sushi, that was good.
Oh yes.
Track with GID, that hard. Like it's like
GID on that track too.
Yeah, I did we made it making fun of it's Freddie Gibbs with Freddie Gibbs. Nice whole beam on the internet, which is really funny. And Freddie come true for this album, man. Is excellent stuff. Love this. Really well done.
So our number one, of course, is the same. No surprise.
Yep.
Clips.
Yep.
Let God sort them out. I mean, what more is there to say?
Yep.
What I will say though, is like the more I thought about it, right? The reason why this album is so special to me, right, is because it came out a day after my dad died,
Right.
and
Right.
I'll never forget this. This will be burned into my memory, right? So me in Mount Hope Hospital where he died, right? Organizing to get his death certificate. And you called me to find out how I was doing, and you mentioned the first track on this album. You pretty much say don't listen to it, or just be careful when you jump into it, right? So when I finally got the chance to sit down to listen to it, that was like about a week or so. I should say after my dad's funeral, right? That's when I really jumped into it, and I heard Birds Would Sing, and I was like, oh, that's why. Because yeah, it's about the parents of Pusha T and Malice passing away, right? And how they had to deal with it, how they are forced to deal with it, right? But as I said in my review, I really think that it's that. Like, I think that's one of the circumstances that really reunited them, right? Because they've been kind of separated for a long while, right? And I'm just so glad that they came back. Again, as I said before, they proved that even though you're in your 50s, you could still put out great heat. I was glad that they were able to reteam with Pharrell. Yes, I wish the Neptunes were together, but it is what it is, right? And it's just banger after banger after banger after banger, right? But it's just the sentiment of it. It's just the sentiment behind it all, right? That works for me, right? Yes, it is the cold-blooded drug dealing, go after your enemies kind of shit, right? But there's a level of intelligence, like a level of maturity to it all, right? It's not just street shit for the sake of it all. It's just like, no, I've grown up, I've experienced this, I've experienced life. So I going through life, I approach in life and I approach in business in a much different way, in a much more calculated way, right? And this, the end result of this, was just a fantastic record. Absolutely love this, right? So I know, Ricardo, it is your number one, so you could tell me and you could tell the world why it has been your number one.
Yeah, it's the same reason why I like number two. But this is just amazing rappers, amazing producers. Yeah, Pharrell come hard for this job. Just banger after banger after banger with this, and then the clips just come with amazing material for it. And I just mentioned the whole beats versus lyrics kind of thing, and how in the case of Nas it dovetails particularly well, and I thought that was a very intention. But yeah, sorry, in the end of the day, this is why I'm sympathetic towards the argument against Primo, is that would I listen to it on its own? And yeah, in this case, definitely. Like, these beats alone, just like royal bangers on their own. And just a lot of great tracks. They recently put out the recent video they called POP with Tyler.
With Tyler. And it's so funny that they come out like a week after Five Nights at Freddy's 2 can have the animatronic,
exactly,
musicians.
in
That was funny.
Yeah.
And I think that was intentional too. The director, I forgot his name. The guy who works with the Lyrical Lemonade.
Lyrical Lemonade.
That guy. He say he always wanted to experiment with animatronics in music videos, so that's why the idea.
I like his style. He has this kind of flowy, free, kind of streamer consciousness kind of way how the editing has come together with his material, and I really enjoy his stuff. But obviously, this man named will come to him. He got on Blue Sky actually. That's all. Cole Bennett.
Yeah.
Cole
Right.
Bennett.
Yeah.
I like his style. You know what? He did Eminem. Oh gosh, Fighting the Dog was in that track with Mike Pence. Oh gosh. Eminem COVID. Okay, what's the name of that song? But it's mind right.
Nat.
Nat.
GNAT.
Yeah, Nat. Nat. Yeah, he did a video for that. Like, I like his style. Like, I like how he does like direct and edit and how it's fluid. It looks simple, but have a lot going on in it. A lot more than you think. Like, you're watching inside, like, oh no, all of this going on. It's about a surprising amount. It have this kind of optical illusion kind of way about his editing that I really enjoy. And his framing. This POV video is great stuff. But yeah, overall, this album is just truly fantastic. Like, just start to finish, I don't think it have a single skip for me. Like, not even like close to a skip. It's like, no, just run it through. We're going down from start to finish, from Birds and Sing to the end. And I cannot believe it was as strong as our outing as we got with respect to this. So yeah, really solid album. I don't know, boy. It just yes, Pharrell really come through with this positioning and then make it work for it. And then Malice is like just on point.
Boy.
Malice is like truly
Verse of the year winners, you know, like he just dropped two verse of the year winners with Soviet Ace Trumpets. Them two verses, verse of the year winners in my opinion.
Yeah. He just bringing the heat right through. But yeah, throughout the whole album, they are good Kendrick Lamar feature, and I thought that was strong. But then we got Tyler feature, and like that was even in my opinion kind of stronger. Like we got Nas feature, I forget about that. They're like, oh yeah, right, he was on the album. So far ahead, we got Abliva feature, we get Fico, so-called Cooks again.
Yes, and that video, by the way, that video, yeah, we had acknowledged that video was hard, yeah.
Yeah, video real hard, he make it work. But yeah, the push for this album was amazing, absolutely amazing. Like props, 10 extra points to Hufflepuff, right? You know, to give our man, that who was producing to push this out in terms of production and getting it out in terms of hype. They were absolutely cooking. I think this came out the same time as Superman, I think, or I can't remember.
No, it did because on the weekend, I couldn't get to see Superman because my dad. So it came out the same weekend. You're right.
Yeah, but this was excellent stuff. Like truly fantastic. Make it work. Great outing overall. Just amazing production. Like who's the sample they get for Subi? That is Egyptian guy.
I don't know. I need to get that. I need to source that song as soon as I want to hear that song in its entirety.
It's a Saudi guy.
Okay.
Yeah, Talalmada. It's like what? We be doing this way? Like wood. Like I can't be mad at any of this. And yeah, just a true fantastic return to form for the two of them in terms of thing. Like we had good what do you call them, pusher for a while, but then we get just good Malice in a hot minute, and it's like, alright, cool, we back, and they really make it work. I cannot be mad at this at all.